Welcome back to Edge. We're here on the Hammer Betting Network, a daily live NHL show, Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Today is Thursday, April 20th. Started the show a little bit earlier today as Rob Pizzola, Jeff Feinberg, and Andy Molitor will be teeing off at 10:41 in the World Putt League later today. So coverage for that will start at 10:15. So you're not going to want to miss out on that. So we moved Edge work up so people can go right from this show here into the preparation for Rob's debut on the professional putting tour. So money, Russ, is professional putting something you guys think you might want to get into at some point here?
There's no chance. I get rattled with pitch and putt, man.
Yeah, no, I feel like it would be completely infuriating sport. I played a lot of putt growing up, but I can't imagine doing it for money or even betting on myself. So no, I'm not on that one.
All right, well, fair enough. So we'll stick to betting on the NHL here, preparing for these games. We got another set of 4 games here tonight. We'll start with the Toronto-Tampa Bay Lightning game. Obviously here as a Leafs fan, game 1 was less than ideal. That is basically everything that could have went wrong did go wrong to open up this series, but it is only one game. You're only down 1-0. The score of the game does not matter. You move forward in this series. You look at here tonight, an opportunity for the Leafs to bounce back, try to get a win and even things up heading back to Tampa. Looking at the odds right now, plus 150 for the Lightning, minus 167. The over, the total set at 6 currently. Russ, is there anything for you in this game that you would be interested in playing right now?
Yeah, we've got to play on this one. We played the over 6 at minus 115 overnight, and yeah, it looks like that's still available to lock in right there. A couple of quick things here. I think this number should be 6.5. I mean, you saw the first game was absolutely wild. It just got out of hand right away, and basically just a completely off script game. So they had a ton of chances for both teams. I do think you'll see a little bit more of a tighter game in this game too, but there's a couple question marks for Tampa Bay on defense. If Cernak or if Hedman comes back, he's a questionable for tonight. That'll be a big loss. And yeah, Cernak is out on defense for the Lightning. So 2 guys that are their main dudes, their main 6 on D are banged up, and they should have 1 other player out as well. So I think that the Leafs will get plenty of chances here. And then on the flip side, you've got Ilya Samsonov in net, who, man, he struggled coming back his first game and just looked disheveled right away. He couldn't figure it out. So, I've got closer to 7 here. I thought this game would be lined at 6.5, minus 110 both ways. I think is probably a fair price. So I was surprised to see a 6 here, even at minus 115. I would probably go up right about to minus 120. Anything other than that, I would probably lay off, and I probably wouldn't take a 6.5 here just because you've got that additional value on the push at 6. But yeah, it's a fairly simple, straightforward handicap for me. These teams both had over 3 expected goals in the first game. It was a very wide open game, and you can see some of these nerves start to shed after game 1. We saw that last night, right, with all of the games going over their total. It seems like some of these players, some of the nerves, some of the concern about playing in the NHL playoffs kind of leaves them by game 2. So I think it should be a much more open game. And yeah, I think both teams could get to 3-3 here, and we should cash this over easily. So yeah, I'm looking over 6 here.
Okay, so we locked that in over 6, minus 116. So Money, I know you're in support of me there on the Leafs throughout these playoffs. Are you kind of on the same page as Russ going into this game, and where are you at mentally and emotionally after game one?
So I I do agree with what Russ is saying for the most part. I do have some concern with I think that game kind of snowballed with like the total. I
Mhm.
think Russ did mention that. I and it does make me feel that as we move forward in this series, things should start tightening up. I can see the way that Game One played out for that to continue. Now, it does matter with the Lightning injuries on defense. So I think that um, I have no play on the total on the, but but I can see where Russ is coming from with that. And at a six, it's a little surprising that they stayed a flat six, but I think it's probably a good look by Russ there. In terms of the side, um, I have no concern with the Leafs right now. I think that that game was not a 7-3 game, and I also feel that I mean there's so much talk about it's a it's the same old Leafs, right? But you know what would have been the same old Leafs if they actually played well and they found a way to lose that game.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah,
have been the same
yes.
old Leafs, right? So um, maybe they read their press clippings. Maybe they even heard me on the show pumping their tires. Um, whatever the case was, they played like shit and they lost, right? I would rather a team play like shit and lose than how what we saw in game six last year and what we saw in game seven, where you're essentially losing coin flips to a team that is able to find a way to come back and win, right? So show me a good, strong effort by the Leafs and
Mhm.
them actually losing a game that they should have won. And then maybe I can have that conversation with that, okay, there's something fundamentally wrong here, right?
Mhm.
But right now, I'm not there yet. Um, in terms of the line itself, we saw mid minus 150s closing on the Leafs in game one. We're up to what? High minus 160s. So
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's a little too much of an adjustment. I think that Hedman goes into that number as well. So I'm 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 off on this side as well. But it's something that if Hedman is out, I think that that number trickles up a bit. I think that this number right now reflects Hedman being out, so you got to be careful that you're not betting into an inflated number when he is confirmed out. So if he's in and that line comes back down towards the mid 150s, I would be interested in the Leafs at that point. But I do like the Leafs here, and I love that comment there. Blame me for the loss. Yeah, that's what a leader does, right? Like he brings it on himself, right? So I'm gonna take all the heat for the Leafs game one loss.
Thank
Okay,
you so
it's my
Money.
fault, right? And the team can go out and play loose in game two. And if they do lose, this one's on you again, Zach.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
Well,
you know what? I'll take this one. I'll take this one.
well, it's like what they started that last year. They started that series with the Leafs with a 5-0 win, game one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so it's
Yeah.
like this, and then they ended up losing the series. So it's like this year they're just taking the
Yeah,
opposite
flip
path,
it.
just getting
Yeah.
dominated the game one, and then they're going to end up winning the series. So I completely agree. I mean, I'm on the Leafs at the series price. I thought, closer to 150, 155, I would be on the Leafs today. Wake up to find it minus 180 on some books. So
yeah.
I'm looking that direction also, but I do like the over a little bit well here. Another note is that these teams have two of the top power play units in the league. With that first game and it getting so chippy, I could see a lot of penalties being called here, which just adds to more. We don't need to go into any of that bullshit than in the first game or any of the calls at all. But I could see a little bit tighter officiated game, a few more penalties, a few more power plays for each team, which leads to
Yeah.
maybe a few more goals. And yeah, I'm hoping for like a 4-3 Leafs win here. We can move on.
All right. Moretto here in the chat saying so Money wearing the C on edge for next year. There you go. So Money is the captain next year. And Insight says who's the ref? Wes McCauley 8-0 versus the Leafs in playoffs. Wes McCauley, I don't believe is the ref tonight. I'm pretty sure I saw tweets this morning that there was a different reffing crew. But
Giving him the
yeah,
business.
yeah. Um, All right. Moving on to the next series here. New York Rangers against the New Jersey Devils. Rangers again here on the road. Second game of this series. The Rangers open it up with a 5-1 win over the Devils in the first game. We're seeing the Rangers here getting plus money prices on them again going into this one. Russ, I'll go to you to start with this. We had you on, obviously, during the end of the regular season to talk about Devils futures and hedging that out. In terms of what you saw from the Devils in the first game and then kind of where this price is at right now, is there anything that you might be able to get behind and bet on in this game or anything that you would feel comfortable with playing here tonight?
No, I mean, unfortunately, I won't have a play here. I've watched quite a bit of Devils games this season, and that game one, I think, was the worst game that they've played this year. That didn't even look like the same team. It looked like they had so many nerves. They just weren't around the puck. They weren't generating any chances. They couldn't stop any chances. So I'm a little bit concerned here for sure. I think this is a good bounce back spot for them just because it's such a buy low spot. And a lot of people have basically penciled in the Rangers as moving on. They, a lot of the Rangers are getting the majority of the bets today. So I'm a little concerned here for sure. The Devils just looked absolutely dead in that first game. Expected goals were 3.58 to 2.69, and the Rangers just completely dominated. And then one of the biggest things is, as anybody knows, is the goaltending in the playoffs. And man, I just think this is maybe too big of a gap to overcome here. Igor Shesterkin is just the same old Igor every year, just domination. And on the flip side, you got Vit Vanacek, who gives up 4 goals on 22 shots and, has no defensive support at all. So this is, I hate to kind of side with the public and worry here, but man, this is a concerning look for the Devils here, and there will be no play for me. I'll just be hoping and praying that the Devils can even up the series here. But that was very, very concerning game one, and they just looked like they were happy to be in the playoffs, and they didn't even want to compete. So no play for me here. I'll be rooting on the Devils for the futures tickets and everything like that. But no, I've got nothing here. I'd be curious to hear what So Money has to say.
Yeah, I'll never overreact to one game. I mean, like if you look at the Leafs series, they played like shit, so there's no need to overreact. You look at the Devils. What concerns me about the Devils is not only were they outplayed, but I didn't like the comments that were coming out of the camp afterwards, where they readily admitted that we were inexperienced, there were nerves and all that. Like I don't know why that kind of stuff is coming out publicly like that. So that was a little bit concerning. Now, in terms of the number itself, they closed low minus 130s in game one. It was bet up a bit, so that makes sense. We're seeing an adjustment into the mid 120s now, which is probably where I've got it. So at this point, I'm neutral. But if it does dip a little bit, I would be interested in the Devils. Now, I can give it to them that, okay, fine, you guys were inexperienced and stuff. They were outplayed. So if I acknowledge that there was some inexperience there, but you're giving me the adjustment on a low minus 120s, that's when I can get involved. So at this point, I'm out, but I'm not. I do have some concerns with the way that game played out. I thought that as the game progressed, they did get better. They were able to generate more, but they were already down too. So I don't know how the Rangers would have played that game if they didn't get off to a fast start. So for now, I got nothing here. But if this does dip a bit, then just like the Leafs, I will bet the Devils, but I need a better number though.
All right. In terms of experience for the Devils and ability to win a series, how much do you think this is actually going to factor in for them? Is that something you guys look at when you're handicapping a series and looking at series prices and stuff, or take into consideration oh, this team is young, this is their first time getting here? they haven't been together that long, whatever it is. Do you add those things together and kind of consider those pieces going into a playoff series, especially where you look on the other side, this Rangers team, it feels like they've been together for a while now. You kind of add pieces here and there. You have the Vezina goaltender backing you up. Like, in a situation like that, how much does experience come into play in these series prices for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, that's why personally for me, that's why the NHL playoffs are so much more difficult to handicap than the regular season. The regular season, I can kind of pick and choose my places to hide some of these teams that odds makers aren't paying attention to, stuff like that. But yeah, in the playoffs, these lines get tighter and tighter. And yep, you have to honestly, you have to rely on your model and the underlying analytics less. There's a lot more back of the napkin handicapping. There's a lot more visual handicapping that goes into it. You can't just say, this team analytically expected goals is a little bit higher, so therefore I have an edge. In a 7-game series or with an elite goaltender or experience, that changes a lot of things. So yeah, that's a great question, and that's exactly why. I personally have a lot less volume in the playoffs and a lot smaller position sizes just because of that. There's a lot more subjective handicapping that goes into it, as opposed to when I'm, in the regular season, if I have an edge, I have an edge and I'm playing it. Whereas in the NHL playoffs, if I have an edge, I'm looking into a little bit more of why that's an edge and some of the more intangible things, just like you said, like experience and coaching and stuff like that. So, I mean, it gets tough this time of year, and you have to look at all of those things, in coordination with the underlying analytics.
I don't value. I shouldn't say value, but I don't look at experience much. I mean, you look at a team like Seattle, like what experience did they have, and they won game 1 on the road, right? So, but if you're outwardly telling me that you felt inexperienced and you felt jitters and stuff, like, okay, I will listen. Like, you're letting this come out of camp, right? So I think it does matter with the coaching as well, which is another reason why this was surprising to me from the Devils, because I would never have expected Lindy Ruff to be the one to like come out and say stuff like that. And like, he's also the kind of coach that I felt that if experience was a thing in this series, he'd be the kind of coach to get that young team in line. So it's those kind of things that going forward have me concerned a little bit about the Devils here. But I'm very interested to see how the rest of the series plays out. But to answer your question, I think in certain cases, lack of experience or more experience or whatever you want to call it matters. But it does come down to the personnel as well. And I didn't think that Lindy Ruff would have been letting this kind of stuff get seep into the Devil's psyche.
Fair enough. All right, I just want to remind people right now, as we do have 2 more games left to go here on the schedule tonight. If you're watching and you have not hit that subscribe button, please make sure to subscribe. And so money, pull it up there. Smash the like button if you haven't yet. I don't know. There's less than 20% of the people watching right now have hit the like button on this stream. So make sure to hit that like button if you are watching along right now. That is greatly appreciated. Help support the channel. And another way to support the channel is by signing up for new sports books at the betstamp.app/edgeworks sites. If you see books pulled up on screen here today that you do not have, please make sure to go over to betstamp.app/edgework. You can also find the link in the description. And for tracking purposes as well throughout the course of the season and these playoffs here, I mean, we'll look at yesterday's results just quickly up on screen. We go 2-2 there yesterday. We get the under 6.5 in the first period puck line in the Oilers game, and we lose the under 6.5 in the over 1.5 first period puck line in the Bruins game, and end up down $14 yesterday on a $100 unit size, down to 3% ROI. It is what it is, guys. We battle back here tonight and look to get back in the win column, but that is what we do here. Stay transparent here on the channel, and if you do want to check out all the picks that we've given out through the course of the year, you can find that in the BetStamp app in iOS, Android, as well as on the web. And the easiest way to improve as a sports bettor is by using multiple sports books and always getting the best odds. And we recommend using an odds comparison tool like BetStamp to do so. BetStamp compares odds across every sports book for games, futures, and player props. You can save time and money by checking out BetStamp before you bet. Make sure to download the app today. Again, in iOS, Android, as well as on the web. All right, moving forward, 2 more games tonight. The Seattle Kraken surprised everyone a little bit there in their opening game against the Colorado Avalanche, winning 3-1 on the road in Colorado. So, Money, you are our Western Conference experts, I would say, at this point. Based out there, you get all the time zones. You're up at 6 a.m. this morning having to watch all the games. Was this a game that you were watching on the other night, on Tuesday night?
Yeah, I did. I watched a lot of it afterwards, but I did catch some of it live. What stood out to me, and like we've mentioned this all year with this Kraken team. If they just get any semblance of above average goaltending, this is a really scary team. And what really stood out is that they made Colorado look slow. Right, they were up on the forecheck, amazing team speed. Now Colorado, there's no need to panic. There was talk afterwards that they were rusty. Manson was specifically mentioned as well with his first game back. He seemed slow. The whole team seemed slow. So I'm not. There's no need to panic right now. I think that the line is a little bit inflated, but as it should be at this point. So I think that in terms of, you always want to look at what can a team do differently from game 1 to game 2 in terms of adjustment, and not only what they can do differently, but do they have the personnel to do what they need to do. So for Colorado, and Bednar talked about this after the game, is that they felt that when it was too easy for Seattle to get through the neutral zone. So Colorado is a team, for as much firepower as they have shown this all season that they do want to play defensively. They do want to be more structurally sound. So when they're saying that we need to um, make it more difficult for Seattle going to the neutral zone, based on their defensive numbers and their personnel, yeah, I think they're able to do that. So I think that that's an adjustment that we'll see from Colorado. Another thing they mentioned was that they need to get in front of Grubauer more. With that first game, a lot of Colorado's chances were from the outside. So, and we know this is a team that can finish around the net. So, yes, they have the personnel to make that adjustment as well. So, for those reasons, I think that the bump up in the line, it makes sense. So, I think the line is fair. So it's another game that I'll be sitting out, but I don't think there's any reason to panic right now for the Avalanche, because they do have the personnel to make the adjustments that they need to make.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you 100% there. I think, yeah, I went to that game in Nashville, Avs Preds, and yeah, just seeing the Avs live is incredible. They're so fast, they're so big, absolutely awesome on defense. And then yeah, watching that first game 1, it was just like so many said, it's like the complete opposite. I'm not sure if it had to do with a little bit of game 1 nerves or jitters or what, or the Kraken's defense was just amazing. And that's the way the Kraken have been playing the last month of the season. They've been number 1 in expected goals against for the last 15 games or so. So their defense is absolutely good. And once they get goaltending, like so many said, this is a dangerous team. They want to play a low event game and, just completely shut you down. And Grubauer actually played really, really well that game. So I agree. I mean, I think that this is a big game for Colorado here, and the price is reflecting that. I think that they should probably, be able to handle things here and, kind of make the necessary adjustments. I do that 5.5 did catch my eye. I think if that keeps dropping, if 5.5 gets close to minus 120 or so, I would have no choice but to play the over there. But right now, there's nothing for me. I don't want to play a number that's minus 130 or so. But yeah, the Avs should be fine here. It's 3.7 expected goals for the Avs to 2.3 expected goals for the Kraken that first game. So the Avs did things well. They just didn't finish they just didn't get the puck in the net. They played fairly well. They got their chances. McKinnon played awesome, 7 shots on goal. I think he'll probably have the same amount of chances tonight if that's the way you want it to look. But yeah, this with this line and right at 6, it really doesn't leave much for value here. Just hoping for an Avs win for the series price.
All right. No bet in that game there. Moving on to the final game of the night. So money. The Winnipeg Jets on the road at the Vegas Golden Knights. Currently, we're looking at Winnipeg plus 140, best price available. Vegas minus 154. We see the total set at 5.5. In the first game of this series, Winnipeg came out and basically just took control of Vegas. By the end of the game, it looked like when Vegas was moving in quicksand. The way Winnipeg was able to kind of maneuver around them just did not feel like Vegas had any opportunity in that one. Essentially, 2 minutes into the second period, we're looking at this price here tonight. Are we expecting a spot here where Vegas is going to bounce back, or do you like the price that you see on Winnipeg tonight?
So I did play the Jets in game 1. I have the Jets for the series. I also put a long shot wager on the Jets to sweep and the Jets in 5. And I'll be betting the Jets again tonight. Besides now the number has fallen a bit. So that makes sense from where I bet it. But at the plus 140, I would still play that. We talked about this Colorado series in the sense that Colorado has the personnel to make the adjustments from game 1 to game 2, and they can do certain things where the game plan can go in their favor. When I look at this Winnipeg Vegas series, I don't see how Vegas can make the necessary adjustments that they need to make. So I will elaborate on that. A lot of what Vegas did in game 1, or a lot of what Winnipeg did in game 1, they basically suffocated Vegas to the point where everything that the Knights generated, when the little that they did generate, was all from the outside. So if you're saying that, okay, we need to get in front of Hellebuck more, or we need to make sure that we get more chances in close, that's fine. That's great to say. You can say whatever you want. But it's the Jets' game to keep teams on the perimeter. So unless if the Jets change that, how are you going to be able to just do that when you weren't able to do it in game 1? So that's the first thing. The second thing that concerns me about Vegas is that theoretically the path to victory for the Jets in this series would have been that they have better top end talent, and anything Vegas generates, you have Connor Hellebuck back there to bail them out. Well, if you're giving up 3 high danger chances a game and you're not relying on Hellebuck and still winning the game, that's a concern for Vegas.
Right.
On the other side of it, there was we saw Mark Stone. There was a lot of rust there. There's no question about that. There was a lot of instances where he was laboring. So I do give them that. This number closed at the low minus at the low 140s for the Jets. I'm completely fine with that again. With the small upside that maybe Ehlers will play. I don't think he will play, but if he does, then you have that upside built into the wager already. So I'm on the Jets, and I would still play them at their current number. I would expect this to continue dropping, because where it started from at like the low plus 150s, like that was pretty out there in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll lock that in here. The plus 140 on Winnipeg as another bet here tonight. Russ, are you kind of in agreement with so money in this final game?
Yep. Yeah, I think that was very well put. I think so money said some intelligent things there, and just to piggyback off of a couple of things that he said. Yeah, of all of the first round games, I would argue that the Jets played the most complete game of any team, and that the game was really not in question. It was just absolute dominance the entire game. 3.7 expected goals to 2 for Vegas is all 2.02, and so yeah, this is a very fairly simple numbers play for me. I think this line should probably be closer to plus 125, maybe even plus 130. So we locked in plus 146 this morning. I think anywhere around plus 140. I think there's a rogue plus 145 available. Just looking now.
Yeah.
I would absolutely still play that. I'd probably play it right down to 140 and then chill on that. But yeah, like so many said, I think some of these teams have the ability to make certain adjustments, and some of them do not. If you watch some of these shows the last few weeks, we've been really low on the Knights on this show, and that's mainly because of their defense. They just give up so many chances. They allow basically anybody to skate through the zone, and and then in goal, they don't have anybody that's above average either. I think some of these other teams, like the Islanders and some of the other teams like that, you can get behind as an underdog, or as if they're down in the series, you can get behind because they have an elite goaltender. Well, here you've got Lauren Bourgeois going again, who really hasn't shown anything, and God forbid they go with Jonathan Quick or something like that. And then on the flip side of the puck, you've got a tried and true veteran in Connor Hellebuck, who we've talked about numerous times. So Money and I on this show. Hellebuck has won us, bunch of bets. So I have no issue going with Hellebuck in the better goalie here at this insane price. Yeah, plus 145. I probably should be closer to 130, like I said. So yep, I'm on the Jets as well. And I do have one look at a player prop in this game. I was looking at it earlier, kind of going back and forth, and I did lock it in right before the show got going, and I just saw one comment asking, yeah, that's funny. It is Kyle Connor. I'm going with this Kyle Connor over 2.5 goals. That's hilarious. Over 2.5 goals, minus 160. This guy has just been playing absolutely lights out, been flying around on this front line. And I think I expect the same tonight. He scored a goal last game, had 5 shots on goal last game. I think he should have no issue generating chances tonight. And, it may be a little bit of a hedge, maybe if the Jets dominate again, maybe you win both of these bets. So I have no issue throwing in this player prop in here over 2.5, as well as the Jets money line. So, yep, we're all Jets tonight.
All right, there you go. We are all in on the Jets. Not only are we all Jets, we are all in on the Jets, adding in the Kyle Connor player prop. I see the chat here, Connor Hartle. We are all Jets. Eric, Jets money line tonight. Daniel H, Winnipeg again. So there you go. The chat is all in on us, and I will be in on the Jets as well.
We've got some smart listeners in the chat, educated.
Yes. So there you go. We locked those in. And yes, in terms of the prices available, again, just to remind people, we'll lock it in at the 140 because that is more widely available. You see that at a bunch of different books. There is that Rogue 145 out there. And if you have access to that book, maybe you haven't signed up yet, make sure to go to betstamp.app/edgework as well. You could hit the link that's in the description of this video to sign up there. It does help support the show. So that is the perfect way to do that, and perfect opportunity, as Russ points that out. 145 still sitting out there, so make sure to go check that out. But to recap the picks for today on the show, all the picks that we've given out so far, all a full unit. So I'll clarify that before we get into it. I won't get into that on each individual bet. All for a full unit. Starting here in the Tampa Toronto game, we're looking at the over 6 minus 116. That's Tampa Toronto over 6 minus 116. Then we go to Vegas Winnipeg. We're looking at Kyle Connor over 2.5 shots on goal, minus 160, as well as the Winnipeg Jets money line plus 140. So that's Kyle Connor over 2.5 shots on goal, minus 160, and the Winnipeg Jets money line plus 140. If you guys are interested in seeing how we've done throughout the course of the year, you can find us in the BetStamp app in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ. And if you want more content, NHL content, daily picks, previews, as well as when we get to the second round and we get to a situation where we're going to be previewing the second round series, you'll be able to find all those series previews again here on the Edgework HQ YouTube channel. I see a comment here in the chat. What book has the professional putting lines for the Pizza Man? If you want to bet on the World Putting League, there is a book in the U.S., a regulated book, Betfred Sports. They will be the presenting sponsor here of the Hammer HQ stream as well.
Bet Online has them also.
Yes, the offshore book there, Bet Online has them for very specific in terms of Rob Pizzola props. You can find those on that book, so make sure you check those out.
65% of the action is currently on Rob Pizzola at plus 130, according to Adam Burns from Bet Online.
Yes, and did you see Pizzola took steam? I think he was down to plus 100 now. I'll look at what it's at right now. But
wow, all the sharps are getting in on Rob and his secret betting game. No, I just friended Rob on that new app, the Grint, and I saw that he was around a 17 handicap. So I don't know if I would be betting on Rob at a 17 handicap.
Yeah, I don't know. I play with him in the summer. I think that we're supposed to be playing on Saturday potentially, so we'll see how it's at. But yeah, he's currently leading to win his 3-ball group, at least with Jeff Feinberg and Molitor. He's at plus 100, Feinberg plus 200, Molitor plus 275. Will either Pizzola, Feinberg, or Molitor 4-putt? Minus 15, 4 or more putt, minus 1,500 on that one there. So,
yeah, that's absolutely a lock.
Yes.
Definitely a lock.
Yes. All right. Thank you to everyone who tuned in here today. Greatly appreciate it. Daniel saying the series previews are awesome. Thank you, Daniel. Hopefully you guys enjoyed those. Hopefully you will stick around and subscribe to the channel so you get notified when the new series previews drop as we head into the second round. But thank you to everyone who tuned in here today. Russ, So Money, thank you guys for getting up early and doing this. I know it was even earlier for you guys than it was for myself, so greatly appreciated. I'm sure everyone following along appreciates that as well. Hopefully you guys can maybe go take a nap, get ready for the games tonight, as we could be for a long one. Okay,
no, got fair enough. 18 holes of golf, and then right into the playoffs. So should be a great day.
Sounds like a good day. Yes, that's for sure. All right, well, to everyone else, if you can't get out on the course, maybe you can join us over on the Hammer HQ channel after this. 10:15 a.m. I'll be hosting that with Alex Moretto, Johnny from BetStamp, as well as some special guests coming through to watch along that with us, bet on it, and break everything down as it happens. We'll be watching Rob live on there. The stream will actually be on the screen as well for people wondering, so you will be able to come to the YouTube and just see it there. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. We'll see you guys back here 10:30 a.m. on Friday morning to break down the final games of this week. To everyone out there, see you guys tomorrow morning. Good luck on your bets tonight.